not the goal, okay? Give me about 2 weeks, I'll get that, okay? But Natalie came to us, we actually had somebody else scheduled to see today, and Natalie came to Coach Fritz and said that, or Coach Hutchinson, and said that she really had something on her heart she wanted to share with you. So we're going to turn it over for her to speak right now. Natalie, thank you for
my last name is DeGuardiola. And today I wanted to talk to everyone about how in life, everyone, including myself, will go through horrible, heartbreaking, and terrifying experiences. There's no doubt we can't get around it. And when that happens, our heart may break, or you feel like your world is crashing down. And one of the first things that you can do is question your relationship with God, to question your faith, and to question, why are you doing this to me? How are you doing this to me? So, throughout my 17 years of life, I can definitely say that I have come face to face with some of the most heartbreaking experiences that I thought I would never get over. And I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, that on July 2nd, 2012, at 12:55 a.m., that marked the worst day of my entire life. And that was the day that my grandma died. My grandma was always one of the most important people in my life. She was always my role model, no matter what aspect of life it was. But most important was her faith and her relationship with God. She set the foundation for our family with her never-ending faith and her never-failing love for God. She led people to Christ throughout her entire life, and she inspired people to find their path, to find their light with God, and to begin their journey with Christ. And one of those people was me. Throughout my grandma's entire life, the experience that she encountered, she opened her life up to God and let His plan take the course. Her faith never wavered, no matter what experience, good or bad. At the beginning of my junior year, my grandma was diagnosed with cancer. A couple months later, we found out that her cancer had metastasized to her lungs. A couple months later, we found out that her cancer had metastasized to her mouth. Hearing this news, the doctors told us there was no cure. There was nothing that could cure this cancer, and that this cancer would kill her in a matter of 3 to 10 months. So she moved in with us, got a nurse, and immediately hearing this news, I questioned God. How could you do this to my grandma, the one woman who, no matter what in her life, always loved you, and her faith never wavered? How could you do this to a loving servant? But that was me and not her. She didn't complain about what God had given her. She knew that His love and His light would take her through the journey. Throughout her entire battle with cancer, she never lost faith. And she let His strength and His love take her through it all. This summer, on June 30th, I noticed that my grandma was extremely sick and more sick than normal. And it really worried me. And I had a gut feeling that something was wrong and she needed to go into the hospital. I went out to dinner with my friend Devin, and at dinner, I had this bad feeling. And something inside me told me to call my mom or my uncle. So we got done with dinner, and I called my uncle, and he told me that my grandma was immediately rushed to the emergency room with no hesitation as the EMTs got to my house. I came to my house, and I was in my house for probably less than 2 minutes just to change my clothes, and I went to the hospital. That night, my grandma was immediately put into ICU Blue, and when hearing the news that that's where she had been entered, I knew in my heart that my grandma would never come home. I could feel it coursing through my body, and I knew my faith was going to be at its best, or that's what I was hoping. So from June 30th to July 2nd, all I did was pray. Sure, I would make a couple phone calls here and there to my dad and to some friends, but besides that, and besides spending as much time with my grandma as I could, all I did was pray. I prayed for my grandma that his son, Jesus Christ, would take care of her throughout this, and I prayed for my family, that God would help us through these next few days, because they would be the most difficult that we had ever experienced. And so, 10 minutes before it all happened, I stepped out of the room to try and gather my thoughts, to realize that my nightmare was finally coming true. And all of a sudden, I hear my mom's footsteps running down the hallway. And before she even made it to the door, I had stood up and I was ready. And I walked into that room, and within a matter of moments, in a matter of seconds, as I grabbed my grandmother's hand, I saw my grandmother take her last breath at 12:55 a.m. In that moment, I will never forget for all the days in my life, no matter how hard I try and erase it. It's something that will stay in my memory all the days of my life. Trying to get myself together, I went out in the hallway and immediately called my dad, but the next phone call I made was to one of my closest friends named Emma Herrera. And she told me that, Natalie, you don't have to worry anymore. She's no longer in any pain, and she's in such a better place. I hung up the phone, that knowing that what Emma had said was true, but I didn't know if that was really enough. So I walked to my car, literally bawling my eyes out, and I could see the people in the hospital wondering, is this girl really okay? Because I don't really know if I was. I got into my car and I couldn't even turn it on. I sat there for at least 10 minutes, bawling my eyes out, and I could feel this dark cloud pouring over me. A feeling that I had never felt in my entire life, and I prayed to God that I do not feel it ever again, and none of you feel it, because it's the worst feeling in the entire world. So as I sat there in my car, I started screaming. I was screaming at God. Not to God, but at God. Demanding an answer of why He would inflict my family with such horrible pain. How could He tear my family apart and take one of the most important women away from me? So my faith went from here to here in a matter of moments, because I did not believe what God did was correct, and that was wrong. But if you were to tell me 6 months ago, 8 months ago, or however long you choose, that my grandma's death would spark my true relationship with Christ and lead and perfectly put me on my path to God, I would call you crazy and never talk to you again. But I would have to come back up to you today and truly, from the bottom of my heart, apologize. And I would say that you were 100% right. So, after those next horrible days, and a couple weeks passed, I noticed that what I thought my world had been broken into pieces work that could only be done by one who is very special. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that the one who was doing this all was Jesus Christ. And that moment, that's when my faith went from here to here. And that was the strongest my faith had ever been in my entire life. I thought I had a good relationship with God and His Son before this all happened, but I was very wrong. Because at that moment, I had never felt more connected with Jesus Christ in my entire life, because I had lost the person who changed my life. And so today, what I really want to talk to you all about is that in life, we will go through horrible things. And we will question the one who made us and who made our plan, and possibly even go against Him. But we must ask, why would we do that? Why would we go against the one who will never leave us, will always love us? Even when my faith fell and I only questioned God, He never left my side. He was always there for me, even when I didn't think so. He was always there for me to lean on through that difficult experience, even when I didn't recognize Him. But He never left me, because He loves me and everyone, no matter what they do, or when they question Him, or what they question Him. If you have faith in His plan, He will take you so far, but you can't doubt Him in any way. His plan, we have no idea what it is. So, how can we go against it? And how can we question it when we have no idea what's in store for us? Faith will take you places where you never dreamed you could. But if you have faith in the Lord and His Son, Jesus Christ, the journey that you will have on your path that He created for you will be the most spectacular, amazing journey that you will ever experience into your entire life, because it will take you places that you never dreamed. Thank you.